All right, today we're jumping into this incredible ancient story from the book of Daniel. And honestly, our source material calls it absolute cinema. And they are not wrong. It's this wild mix of prophecy, mystery, and a vision of history all wrapped up in one.
So let's just get right into it. What if I told you that a single dream, a dream that the dreamer couldn't even remember, laid out the entire sweep of world history? We're talking about a king, the most powerful guy on the planet, who's just haunted by this vision he knows is massively important.
And what was in that dream? Well, once the prophet Daniel brings it to light, it all centers on this single epic image, a massive, towering statue of a man. It's just brilliant, almost kind of intimidating to look at.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This thing isn't made of one material. The head is pure gold, the chest and arms, silver. Then the belly and thighs are made of bronze, and the legs are just solid iron. Every single material is different, and each one tells its own part of the story.
So just as you're trying to take in this incredible statue, the whole scene just flips. Seemingly out of nowhere, this rock appears. It comes flying through the air, and bam, it smashes right into the statue's feet, the very foundation holding the whole thing up.
Okay, so what on earth does any of this mean? Let's start breaking this vision down, starting with the statue itself, because it's basically a map of human power throughout history.
Daniel explains it pretty clearly. He says each part of the statue represents a major world empire, one after the other. That head of gold, that's Babylon, the kingdom ruling at the time. After them would come an inferior kingdom of silver, which history tells us was Persia. Then a third one of bronze, which is believed to be Greece. And finally, this super strong fourth kingdom of iron, which is often identified as Rome. It's like a roadmap of power laid out in advance.
And this really gets to the core message about the statue. It represents human history as just a series of empires, each one bigger or stronger than the last. But none of them are built to last forever. They all have a beginning, and they all inevitably have an end.
Now let's get back to that rock, because if the statue is all about human power, the rock represents something totally different. It's the real game changer in this whole vision.
The key detail here, and you can't miss this, is how the rock is described. It's not cut by human hands. That phrase is so important. All the kingdoms in the statue, they're man-made empires, right? Built by human ambition. But this rock, its origin is supernatural. It's from somewhere else entirely.
And its impact is, well, it's total. When this supernatural rock hits the statue's feet, the whole thing, the iron, the bronze, the silver, the gold, it all shatters at the same time. It's just blown away like dust in the wind until there's literally not a trace left. The entire legacy of all those human empires just wiped out in a single moment.
So, if the statue representing all human kingdoms is totally destroyed, what comes next? This is where the prophecy really shows its hand and what our source calls the Bible's big picture moment.
So the dream presents this really powerful contrast. On one side, you have the kingdoms of the statue. They're built by humans, they rise and they fall, and they're ultimately destined to become dust. But on the other side, you have the kingdom of the rock. It's not man-made, it's completely unstoppable, and it is going to last forever. It's a clash between temporary human power and permanent divine power.
But the story of the rock doesn't actually end there. Something pretty incredible happens to this stone, which, remember, started out small enough to just hit the statue's feet.
It starts to grow, and it keeps growing and growing until it becomes this huge mountain that fills the entire world. That's the final, powerful image of the dream. One single, permanent, unshakable kingdom that covers everything.
So, the big takeaway is this. The dream isn't just about predicting a few empires. No, it's making a sweeping statement about the very nature of power itself. It suggests that all human attempts to build something that lasts forever will eventually fail, making way for a divine kingdom that will never be destroyed.
And that leads us with a really fascinating question to think about, doesn't it? In a world like ours, a world that feels like it's defined by constant change and instability, where nations and ideas are always rising and falling, what does it even mean to hope for or to believe in an unshakable kingdom? That's the big thought this ancient vision leaves us with.